Welcome to Ballet Bites, folks. Dive deep into the intersection of ballet and soft power. We're exploring how a dance can rewrite diplomatic narratives from the Cold War all the way to today.
I'm excited. This whole idea of ballet as a political instrument is just riveting. What jumps out first for you?
Well, the origins are pretty wild. Back in 1958, under the Lacy-Zarubin agreement, Soviet ballet was used as a cultural bridge to the West. Think of it as a dazzling package deal featuring the Bolshoi and Kirov companies that softened the USSR's image. It wasn't just about art. It was about state prestige.
Absolutely. And it sounds almost cinematic, the idea of art easing geopolitical tensions. But tell me, how did that play out on the cultural stage?
So, in 1959, the Bolshoi tour turned into a full-blown media frenzy. Imagine hundreds of thousands of ticket requests crammed into a few venues. According to the appendix, it was a supercharged signal of American demand.
Yeah, it's like everyone was trying to catch a glimpse of Soviet prowess. Right, and so that sets up our first key question. Is ballet still serving as an instrument of state soft power today, say in 2025?
Short answer, yes. But the stage has changed a bit. Western venues canceled Russian state-backed tours after the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. So the Bolshoi pivoted to more friendly capitals, like China and soon even Oman.
Yep, that shift is pretty telling. That's so interesting. And it seems like a strategy of, if one door closes, find another stage. But isn't it a bit problematic to, shift audiences purely for political optics?
It can be true. On one hand, you're continuing the soft power narrative by showcasing culture where it's welcomed. On the other, you risk creating echo chambers. The narrative becomes, look at our sold-out houses in Beijing, which sidesteps the nuanced political context.
True that. That nuance is key, and it ties into another burning question. Should Western presenters host state-backed companies when, active geopolitical conflicts are at play?
Exactly. Take the Royal Opera House in London. A clear example. In February 2022, they cancelled the Bolshoi's summer season just days after the invasion. The press asked, whether hosting these companies indirectly legitimates a government.
That does put the art and politics in a tight spot. I can see the dilemma. Some argue that boycotts might punish the individual artists, right?
Yes, absolutely. Critics point out that boycotts can, harm the very artists who rely on these tours for career-defining exposure. Think of it like this. It's as if the cancellation of a concert takes away not just a show, but a major stepping stone for a rising star.
Sense.
And interestingly enough, similar debates arose during the Cold War. Back then, cultural exchanges, like the US sending the American Ballet Theater to the USSR in 1960, built channels for dialogue, even amidst heavy symbolism.
So fundamentally, there's this balance between using art as soft power and preserving the agency of the individual artists.
Exactly. And speaking of symbolism, another hot topic is how we handle overtly Soviet repertory, especially now after Yuri Grigorovich's recent passing in May 2025. Yeah, Grigorovich really shaped Spartacus into a symbol of Soviet heroism, right? Oh, for sure. Spartacus was crafted as this muscular, epic reflection of Soviet ideology. But now the question becomes, should we keep it as a nod to history, contextualize it, or retire it altogether?
I lean towards contextualization. Audiences appreciate knowing the historical backstory. But I wonder, won't that dilute the artistry of the performance?
Well, here's the thing. It's, like pairing a classic dish with a modern twist. Program notes or pre-show talks can frame Spartacus as both breathtaking choreography and a historical artifact. Pairing it with a contemporary piece, say by Wayne McGregor, can act as a powerful counterbalance.
That sounds like a recipe for meaningful conversation. And it also gives the audience a chance to appreciate the art beyond the propaganda, right?
Exactly. But while we're on the subject of history, let's talk about defections in ballet. Not the airport drama of Nureyev or Baryshnikov, but the modern twists.
Right. The term defection now might mean something less dramatic and more about a principled shift. For example, Bolshoi star Olga Smirnova left for the Dutch National Ballet, which Reuters and The Guardian widely covered.
Yeah, and Xander Parish jumped from the Mariinsky to join Norwegian National Ballet. It's more values-based now. Social media instantly spreads the news, turning an exit into a, global conversation about artistic integrity versus political pressure.
Yep, instant feedback can be a double-edged sword. It's impressive how the mechanisms have evolved. From literal airport escapes to, public statements and contract shifts.
Absolutely. And that evolution is tied to our next big question. Can cultural exchange still lower geopolitical temperatures, or is it just a fig leaf for political maneuvering?
Historically, even if it didn't end, say, the Cold War, cultural exchanges did create moments of shared human experience. The American Ballet Theatre in Moscow in 1960 is a perfect example. Audiences in both camps were clapping for the same artistry.
Exactly. It's about creating spaces where, diverse audiences share in the wonder of ballet. But today, with roots diverging and, social media narratives dominating, we risk creating parallel, isolated worlds.
Isolation through curation, you might say. It certainly poses a new challenge. I mean, if Russian institutions keep cultivating audiences only outside the West, while Western companies tour Asia and Europe, do we lose that common cultural ground?
That's the dilemma. And it brings us to a sort of test for any cultural presenter. We should ask, are we ensuring safe spaces for artists and providing platforms for honest engagement rather than just PR victories?
Yeah, that's an important litmus test.
One proposal is to include elements like pre-show talks and Q&A sessions. That way, the conversation around the performance can provide context and invite critical engagement.
I like that, though I have to respectfully challenge one point. Don't you think that sometimes these attempts at contextualization might inadvertently sanitize or overly complicate the art?
That's a fair critique. It's a delicate balance. If you micromanage the narrative too much, the art might suffer its own purity. But without context, audiences might be misled by outdated ideologies. It's like, seasoning a dish. You need just enough to bring out the flavor without overpowering it.
Clever analogy. Right. And this gets even more interesting when we consider how social media now drives these narratives. A clip of, say, 32 perfect fouettes can gather millions of views, often sidestepping the deeper political discourse entirely.
Exactly. And that instant gratification of viral clips can obscure the layered history behind a performance. But it also democratizes the access to these art forms.
So essentially, while the medium has changed, from press conferences to Instagram reels, the underlying tension between art and state remains.
Perfectly put. And it leads us back to the core. Ballet as soft power is a legacy toolkit. The Cold War used it to broadcast discipline and virtuosity. Modern times use it to, rebrand national narratives and generate global discussion.
Absolutely, the dance goes on, figuratively and literally. I guess the takeaway is that whether you're in a Soviet-era Bolshoi or a contemporary performance in Beijing, ballet remains a battleground of ideas, using beauty to, counter or complement political agendas.
Precisely. And it challenges presenters, artists, and audiences alike to interrogate what we celebrate on stage. Is it just a performance, or is it a statement about the world we live in?
That's a loaded question, and one that really calls for active engagement from everyone: critics, fans, and even policymakers.
Definitely. When you vote with your ticket and your attention, when you ask questions about program choices and the context behind them, you actively contribute to the conversation.
Every view counts. And as we wrap up our dive, I'm left thinking about how much ballet still speaks to us today. It's more than just technically flawless arabesques. It's a narrative in motion that reflects the struggles, triumphs, and complexities of power.
Right. And that's what makes ballet such a thrilling arena for debate. From Cold War defections to modern-day artist resignations, these dances are, and always will be, a commentary on our times.
Absolutely. It's as much about the story as the steps. So folks, all keep our eyes and hearts open. Whether you're watching a sold-out Beijing show or scrolling through a viral clip on social media, there's always more beneath the surface.
Exactly. And remember, the legacy of ballet diplomacy teaches us that art can bridge divides if we're open to the conversation. The stage is big enough for all voices, no matter the political backdrop.
Yeah, let's keep the dialogue alive. Thanks for joining this deep dive. Stay curious, keep questioning, and dance through the debates with us next time.